guys look amazing. Okay, so just to give you a brief introduction, my name is Bonnie. I'm the founder of immotep, a nonprofit organization that fights against the human trafficking of boys. We were helping boys of the LGBTQ community, but we are currently trying to expand our shelter that has 25 boys into a shelter for 250 boys. So we are operating in Guate. I'm Houston-based. We have plans to go to other countries, but right now Guatemala is our main focus, and we are expanding. So our tagline is holistically ending trafficking because it is such a passion of mine to focus on the mind, body, and soul, because this is what I notice gives the most success for a large group of people on an individual level. So we do customized programs and case management care for the children, so that way they are able to be self-sustained, because we're a transitional home. We're not here to create an orphanage, because a lot of the children that we have actually get sold by their family members, and this is our main focus, is to prevent re-victimization. And that's why I formed my own organization, because I could see how they become re-victimized in Houston. But I'm gonna get to that. I have so much experience inside of the local Houston brothels. I look forward to sharing that with you. So why I started this on a personal level, I know I'm not a boy, I know I didn't survive labor trafficking, but I have survived rape, I was kidnapped, I was abused for a lot of years. There was a lot of violence in my life, and this is the first year since 10 years old that I have not been raped. I'm sorry, I'm so emotional about it, but I just want to share that if you have never gone through something like this, and to go through it as a child, and then to have the first year without it, there is just so much beauty in the world, and I really wanted to grab that essence and give it to everybody that cannot get the essence themselves. So one of the biggest reasons on why I felt capable of housing 250 boys instead of a small shelter is rapists are horrible, traffickers are horrible. They have webs of lies, they have a million disguises, and nobody knows who they are except for the victims themselves. And to me, this is the biggest problem, because that means there's enablers, there's people who choose to be blind, and then there's victims that, of course, are not always willingly to come out. And that's another reason why helping boys is so important, because there is toxic masculinity, especially with young boys. And a lot of victimization happens with boys at a younger age than girls. At least in my experience, a lot of the boys come and talk to me as adults and say this happened when I was 4, this happened when I was 10, and so on and so on. So these are very young ages. These are prepubescent ages. And to wait till you're 50 to come out and share your story, somebody needs to come out and say it is okay that you went through this, because they're doing it for girls. We need to do it for the boys too. Yes, I'm so sorry. I feel so nervous about sharing this. I usually don't talk about myself. I usually just talk about helping the boys. So to me, now that we've been established for 3 years, sharing that I am a rape survivor and the kidnapping, and that there is no demographic of rapists, it breaks my heart. So speaking of trafficking, I first encountered trafficking when I was 14 years old. In the time that I had got kidnapped, it was for 3 days. I was force-fed alcohol. I was left out on a ditch, and I thankfully knew I was only, an hour away from home, so I had to get up and go. I had a broken jaw. I had black eyes. It was just very, very hard. And somebody came and tried to help me. So they took me to their apartment, and this is in the suburbs of the Woodlands, and I go into this one-bedroom apartment. There's curtains just hung everywhere, and there's just beer bottles, there's alcohol, there's like massive guns everywhere, and then you see a young girl about my age with blonde hair, and the people that are doing this are very, very big and very, very tall. So you see 9 adult figures and then a drugged out girl laying on the floor and curtains everywhere. I felt like I was in a dream. And I thankfully made my way out the next day, and I started these 2 jobs, and in these years, the same people started following me. They were outside my apartment. They were following me to both my jobs, at my bank. Everywhere I went, these people were there. And I get a call in the same week, and turns out they're traffickers. They had plans to drug me like the same girl, because they monitored me for almost a year to try and find my areas of when I'm not working, to drug me and sell me for sex in this apartment with a minor. And I lost it because I took these traffickers as stalkers. I thought it was a joke. I thought I had admirers, and it's not. And these people were only 4 years older than me, and they made money off this 15-year-old girl. I know they did because they always had new items coming around to my jobs. So just letting you know, you can be any age to be a trafficker, and it's very easy to do, apparently. So I tried to tell local law enforcement. Like I said, I work 2 jobs. I gave everybody awareness to keep these people away from me, and apparently it was a very funny story. I got a lot of rude comments. I tried to talk to my parents. They thought it was a joke, and mind you, this whole continuously rape experience has still been going on because sorry to be so personal, but family members, family friends, friends, acquaintances, and strangers all had their strengths over me. And this is, so to bring that up and be denied the reality and then jump into the trafficking situation and say, hey, here's my reality, you know, please notice that this is actually real. It looks like a joke if you don't believe it. So this is why I talk about the enablers, because you never know what somebody's saying behind their actual words, and you have to be ready to face intense things like this, because even now strangers come up and talk to me about it, and I hardly look a day over 16. Okay, so speaking of all of this trafficking, in the suburbs about where I worked, I learned about local brothels. I had my eyes for what victims looked like, how they act, what irresponsible parents looked like, where a child could be abused. And I had the honor of meeting a couple of Rockets players who proudly told me that they own a lot of brothels off I-45. So I went to the brothels, and they're staged as massage parlors, you know, nail salons, the whole 9 yards. And it's horrible. You walk in, people in lingerie, it's a whole show. But in that mix, I got to meet a lot of boys. I got to meet a lot of men. There's actually a lot of male prostitutes in Houston in the same areas that women work at. And a lot of them are international, so helping them was very difficult. But I noticed that the boys and the men feel happy to talk to me because I felt personally shy about my story. So then they felt they could share with me because they also felt shy that they were a man who went through this. So that's why I formed Immotep, because I saw the underserviced population as the equal status of the served population, and yet there's no resources for them. Let's see, for here in Guate, I also live in Guatemala, and the same thing happened down there. I came back with eyes of what a human traffic victim looks like, and I saw these kids everywhere. So I started visiting farms. There were local sting operations on a very, very minute level. I was working with ECPAT. We were going and performing, and so I talked to them about training the police, and we did a brief 3-month program of training with the police, but then the kids had nowhere to go, so I needed to provide a place for where the kids could go. And of course, most of the children we have are labor traffic victims. We have a couple LGBTQ community and a couple of boys out of the brothels, but we needed to house more because we would do operation, there'd be 100 kids, I only have a bed for 25. We were constantly turning away kids, and I said no more, we have to expand. So what we were going to be doing now is with the programs for 250 boys, they're customizable, and they're going to be holistically approached. So let me see, I'm looking for this very specific slide. Okay, this one. If you have a special skill or a special area of talent, these have been the majority of our volunteers. They have been the ones that have come down saying, I can teach time management, or the ones that come down and say, I do MMA. And they come to the children, they educate the children, and then the child feels a niche inside themselves. With their PTSD, their disassociation, they feel a niche with their heart. So they continue on their progress path. And the variety of options and the variety of people and international intervention, pretty much, it kind of allows the child to feel that they're not trapped inside of their little bubble of pain or trapped inside of their country, or if they cannot go back to their family, they don't feel trapped like they have no other family. They feel like that there are people actively looking at them and actively trying to help them. And that's exactly what I think is so special about Immotep, is because this is the focus. We're trying to help masses of people by bringing in masses more to help these people. people. It's not just me. This is not just my organization. Once again, I'm not a boy. This is not my self-fulfilled fantasy of helping myself. This is me looking at a problem that's outside of myself and wanting to get these people to see that they have something inside themselves that they can contribute back to society and help their peers around them. Because our age group is 6 years old to 12 years old, so we want the elders to go to the youngers to go to the elders, and we want a collaborative effect because there is absolutely no other way to fight this crime. I have never seen one individual make an impact without the help of another human, especially regarding this. So we have social media. Please come. If you see anything on here that you want to contribute, our shelter is being built right now, so come down and we will be ready to have you and welcome you with arms open. And you can find us on any social media. Please email me too, because I would just love to hear from you personally and bring you involved. So thanks, guys. Thank you.